Welcome into WagerTalk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Tony Finn and Rob Vino of WagerTalk.com. We got Oklahoma State and TCU. Rob, coming to you first. Arguably the game of the weekend here, 3:30 Eastern time in the Big 12. 68.5 being the total here. High total, Robbie. We're seeing TCU now minus 3.5-point home favorites. Are you liking anything in the Big 12 this weekend?
Yeah, it's an interesting push toward TCU. Where the money's gone so far. Drew, we're here early in the week still, but let's just get the weather out of the way. Shouldn't be a problem. Going to be about 90 degrees there in Fort Worth throughout the game. So humidity's low, though. So I think just, 36, 39% humidity. Normally in Texas, you would find a high humidity game, but not in this one. Like you said, Drew, it's a huge game. Big 12, both teams are undefeated inside the Big 12. They're trailing K-State. Both teams play Kansas State in the next 2 weeks. I think TCU has them next week, the week after this upcoming one, and then Oklahoma State has them on the weekend of the 29th. So going to shake out a lot of things at the top of the Big 12 here in the next 3 weeks. These teams are so similar. I mean, you start going through some of this stuff and you find out. How about if we just start with points scored and points allowed? TCU on the season, 232 points scored. Oklahoma State, 232 points scored. Dead even. TCU 119 points allowed, Oklahoma State 124 points allowed. 5 points difference between these two teams on the season. Both have the up-tempo offenses. Oklahoma State, 77 plays a game, pretty high number. Both have dual-threat quarterbacks, Max Duggan, Spencer Sanders. Both have vulnerable pass defenses. Oklahoma State stinks on the back end this year. TCU, their numbers would be worse than what they already are if, in fact, Dylan Gabriel had hit some first quarter passes that were wide open in the Oklahoma game. I probably said this before last week if we had Big 12 video, but Dylan Gabriel probably left 200 yards worth of passing on the field without exaggeration in the first quarter of that game. So TCU can be beat, as most Sonny Dykes' defenses can be beat through the air. Strength of schedule. Power ratings I keep. Guys, 0.4 of a point difference between their opposing schedules. Again, very much alike. Both protect their quarterbacks. Oklahoma State, only 6 sacks allowed all season long. TCU, only 8 sacks allowed all season long. Oklahoma State, a little better because they allow 1 every 32 attempts. The other side allows 1 every 19. Neither team turns the ball over. They sit atop of the fewest turnovers chart in the NCAA thus far this year. TCU's only turned it over 3 times in 328 total plays. Oklahoma State 4 times in 384 total plays. Gotta say, you start looking for differences, you're not going to find many. The one I found that I thought was the hugest difference of all was the fact that Oklahoma State has played the only real defense to date between these two teams. They played Baylor. They had to go to Waco and do so. It was a bit of a revenge game, but Oklahoma State came out of there with a win, scored 27 points offensively against Baylor's 25th rated total defense. They got 9 via safety and a kickoff return of 98 yards. But in that game, Oklahoma State racked up the most yards Baylor's allowed all season long. They didn't allow a single sack. Baylor's had at least 1 sack, at least 2 sacks in every other game. They completed 70% of their passes in that game. That's the most, again, that Baylor's allowed all season long. So I think you have to give a slight edge to Oklahoma State and their offense against this defense. But you mentioned it off the top, Drew, when you talked about the total, 68.5. I don't know how you play this game under. I really don't. It seems to me that the pace this game is going to be played at, the chunk yardage that's going to be gained in this game, the fact that both teams offensively do everything so well, whether it be run, pass, protect, whatever. I would say you probably want to look at over 68.5. And I think if you want to play a side, I kind of disagree with the line movement. I look a little bit towards Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy.
Tony, what do you like in Cowboys and Horned Frogs?
Well, I think that Rob is I couldn't argue. I'd like to argue with Rob a little bit, typically to make the show interesting, but I can't argue with him too much in this. There's some funky kind of stats in this game. There's some confusing things. What I see mostly in this game is while the strength of schedule may have been close. And when Rob did the assessment on that, I wouldn't argue with it. I think that we got to benefit. If you're like Rob, if you're like myself, and you like Okie State here, I think we got some benefit from what TCU did, has done recently, and the wins they've had. Kansas. Listen, Oklahoma losing Gabriel. A lot of these things add up that may not show up on the line. I don't understand the sharp money either, coming in on TCU on this, other than being in TCU, because Oklahoma State is what Rob mentioned, is that they're a better defensive team. They just are. I mean, this Sonny Dykes team they're not going to play much defense. In fact, the over would be the only way I too could lean as far as the total goes. And as far as the side goes, I can go down and list all these stats and tell you what Spencer Sanders has done. Is that he's in line to be maybe the best Oklahoma State quarterback ever in the history. Some of the records he's getting ready to break. Since last year's Fiesta Bowl, what this team has done, Sanders, 2,131 yards of total offense, 22 touchdowns. He's not just playing a good quarterback; he's balanced. He's actually using his feet a little bit and playing really smart. And in truth, look at what Oklahoma State's done. They haven't played the most difficult schedule. However, every single win, 5-0, every single win by double digits, and really were never threatened. The fact that they're rated 104th in passing defense is deceptive. Is really deceiving. Some of those yards have come when they were ahead because they're only giving up 24 points a game. Give me Oklahoma State here and the over if I'm going to be in this room.
Game of the weekend here. Oklahoma State and TCU, guys. Enjoy the game here. Also check out Rob Vino, Tony Finn, WagerTalk.com. A good day to do so is Mondays, $9 Monday. All handicappers, all plays discounted to just $9. Check it out, WagerTalk.com.